Hello, welcome to Joy of Stationery. This is Jennifer, and what I have for you in this video is the third and final part or installment of my fairly epic mid-year Techo Kaigi. So what I'll be doing in this video is showing again the kind of later stages of my process up until what I've now decided on for One Book July, as well as offer, I think, a couple of thoughts moving beyond July, so getting ready for August, which is Hobonichi month, so that's really exciting, and potentially maybe some thoughts about 2024 as I kind of think through what's worked for me this year so far, what has not, and my hopes for the second half of the year. So I wanted to begin with Act 4, which I'm calling Back to Basics or Back to Bullet Journaling. And specifically here, I wanted to begin with what I called an anatomy of a passport TN, which is actually in my Instagram highlights on Joy of Stationery. And this is in the Traveler's Records passport cover from the 2022 limited edition. And these clips basically show the main components of the setup. The important thing about this was that it was my big breakthrough in terms of putting a bujo into passport size planner setup and making it a wallet as well, so an all-in-one. It was so helpful to go back to basics and kind of think about what I wanted to do for bullet journaling that I actually moved from the Traveler's Records cover into a cover that would give me a little bit more room. So here I'm closing that up and moving my materials, my inserts into the Dublin leather cover from Speckled Fawns, which is a cover that became very dear to me because it contained everything I needed. It had my bullet journal set up, it had my wallet set up, and it was just really nice to kind of feel the leather. So you can see that I kept the craft folder in the front, followed by this one was my second bullet journal setup because I finished the dot grid insert in the other one, and then I kept the clear zippered insert with a couple new things. But what I also included, because this was a wallet setup, is this particular insert. It's the first passport size insert that I had. It's the kind of blank one that comes with New Travelers notebooks. But I had used it just to kind of have a little bit of a creative space at first, and so you can see that I was kind of experimenting with different stamps, and then once I got a little photo printer, I began to put some photos in there as a kind of memory keeping. And what ended up happening as I was doing more of this is that it almost became its own little photo album that I could kind of keep with me in my wallet, so in the same way that we might carry around in an actual wallet photos of those we love, this became an actual insert that could kind of serve as some of those photos and some of those memories to kind of keep with me, which I just thought was was just something to something nice and could warm my heart and familiar to bring around with me. And you can see that that I had that wrapped in the clear zippered insert, and then finally with this Travel for Life wallet in the back. So this was a cover that had ample room for that entire setup and was so helpful, so nice to kind of carry around with me. I did love the chunk of it. You can see here that they all fit really well in this particular cover. There was a lot of space for all of it. But yeah, just a really fun setup. Eventually, I did take out the Travel for Life wallet in the end, just so that I kind of had a slightly slimmer setup, and I think I was using a different wallet at that point, but still, had my bullet journal, had my little photo album insert, and I would take it around with me everywhere. I also decided to take out the components and kind of film out the kind of anatomy of the passport setup as I had it in the Dublin leather cover, and just to kind of show you all of the different inserts that were involved. So I have the inserts that I actually worked in, and then the kind of um, folder, wallet, kind of storage inserts. So here is the Grapevine colorway Travel for Life wallet by Baumkuchen and the Superior Labor in the passport size, and it was just the very first Travel for Life wallet that I'd gotten. And then I have my clear zippered wallet, which is fun because you can always change out some of the decorations, some of the things you want to include there, and then of course the craft folder, which was really, really helpful for me to have once I got it, and then decorated really cutely again with the sticker from Job's Journal, as well as this draw sticker from the Draw Art Store. That's a local art and stationery store nearby. And then I have the actual inserts that I was working in. So as I kind of mentioned previously, this was the kind of memory keeper that became a photo album insert in a way, and has just been really lovely to take around with me. And then these were the game changers for me. These were the bullet journal inserts that I used. As I mentioned, it's the dot grid insert in the passport size, but this first one on the left was so successful that I was able to kind of continue with that practice in this second one for the months of May and June, decorated with cute stickers from Traveler's Company and Show Little Happiness on the left, and Lola Starry Art on the right. So this is the standard size Traveler's Notebook setup that I finally dipped back into, and I'm always kind of on the search for a good setup for the standard size, and I've really loved seeing Tiff from Talksmot, her videos on the standard size TN, and the way that she sets up the different inserts, I think is always just really inspirational. I have yet to kind of reach that, and I think I'm still trying to find the inserts that work well for me, and into a setup that I can feel really good about in that same way. But what I was able to do, kind of leading up to this moment, is find a way to make this the space or the notebook in which I can take longer form notes on related to research and work, as well as slightly more formalized long form journaling, and I'll show you a little bit of what I mean there. First, I guess I'll just show you, this is the customized TN from Baumkuchen Studio. Apart from the kind of cover design here, I have this pen loop that's patinaed quite a bit now. This was actually I think the natural leather. This is the brown leather here. And the one other customization that I had was this really sleek and elegant secretary pocket in the back in the black leather, and it has a nice little kind of card slot here as well. So thank you to my partner for these really kind of lovely and elegant choices, and I was so delightfully surprised when I got this as a birthday present last year in 2022. So I think I showed a little bit of the setup in potentially my June favorites video, but what I have here is the clear, I got a clear zippered insert to kind of wrap around, and this actually, I actually really love this, this calendar that came with the Take a Note planner. So if you're interested in that, I love how it comes with this, and I think it's certainly the monthly numbers are, I think, letterpressed. But this was so nice and so sleek that I thought that it would look really nice as it kind of greeted me at the front of the Standard Traveler's Notebook. I also have a craft folder here that I use to store the Traveler's Notebook pencil board from this year for coffee and notebooks, which I thought looked really nice. And I've decorated the craft cover, as you can see, with a couple of stickers from Megan Rhiannon, and this lovely one that actually came from, I think, miso paper. And here I just kind of wanted to show you, I think this is what I had listed as my favorite, one of my June favorites, was this particular insert. You can see that I have the two of them here. I had taken this one out for a little bit, but it still has the rubber band to attach them. And I decorated them kind of similarly. I wanted to kind of stick with the Megan Rhiannon stickers as a kind of theme, but this one actually houses some work notes. And you can see kind of in the, it's meant to be, I think, a kind of monthly overview, but it can serve as an index as well, and that's what I use it for. I usually put the date on the side here, and then a quick little description of the notes that I used that day, as well as doing some color coding. This was kind of an experiment here, but I've done similarly. This is more for the journaling. And kind of reflections, longer form reflections, and once again the date here, as well as maybe the topic of what I journaled about, or maybe some notes related to kind of more personal stuff. And so I've put like June journaling, making decisions quickly, just to kind of give me a sense of what it is that I ended up journaling. But I really loved this system of being able to kind of index, and then also kind of having the space to do that on what are actually these daily undated pages. But again, I can use them however I want to, right? There's a kind of flexibility there precisely because they're undated. And I've really liked this in terms of a Traveler's Company insert for the Traveler's Notebook. And so this is because I'd first gotten this actually last year in 2022 to do a kind of travel journal for my first trip since the pandemic had begun. And you can see I've kind of decorated it kind of all over the place, but it was just really fun to do. Here's one of the lovely little stickers from Show Little Happiness. This lovely sticker from Tiff, Platinum Flora, her Etsy shop. And this is a lovely sort of stamp sort of washi tape from Baumkuchen, as well as a couple other bits from Baumkuchen as well, and just a couple of pieces from my travels. And I had gotten this to sort of document what that traveling would look like, and it was so nice to use. I was able to kind of use the beginning of it to kind of plan out how I wanted to travel, and then to kind of keep track of, what I was doing on the different days of our trip. And I loved it so much that at some point this year, I was thinking about how I wanted to kind of go back to, or I'm always trying to find out ways to kind of bring this back into the fold and start using it again. And I thought, okay, even though I'm not going on any trips or any kind of traveling, what if I use that same insert, but for different purposes, right? So now one for kind of work notes, and it's, again, just easy to keep track of things. And then one for keeping track of specific, more formal topics that I've journaled about. So taking journaling prompts for the month, for example, and the prompts for this one actually, I used the monthly journaling prompts by Journaling Home on Etsy, is I believe the name of the store, and I think that they come out with a prompt for each day of the month for every month. And so I thought it was just a nice way to, once again, jumpstart a kind of journaling habit in a slightly more formal way, or more structured way, I guess that's the better word for it. And so putting, these two together as part of my system in here ended up being really, really great for what I needed, right? And giving me a sense of, okay, like I do need a space for work notes where I can kind of write things out a little bit more, or take notes at a kind of a professional meeting related to research, as well as having a space to do more structured journaling, and a good way to kind of, an easy way to kind of keep tabs on what the entries were, and a nice kind of clean indexing system that's kind of built in, right, in terms of kind of the layout of this insert. So this was my great find for the standard TN, and something that really worked for me. I did move into the A6 Hobonichi Avec with a field note system for One Book July, but I was taking some of what I learned from this, and again, that decision was because I wanted to try to combine everything into just one book as I move on beyond July and go back to kind of incorporating things. I have this as something to really kind of work with and try out again, because it was really helping, especially as something to kind of jumpstart journaling, as well as kind of the writing process and research process for me. So this brings me at last to Act 5, the One Book Challenge, and it's to show how these earlier kind of decisions kind of led up to this final version. So I had these Bujo inserts that were working really well for me in the passport size, and I finished those inserts, and in thinking about One Book July, I knew that I wanted to be in an A6 Hobonichi, but wanted to kind of continue these slimmer Bujo setups. And so I decided to pick up these field notes for the very first time. And as you can see here, I got two different designs at first. One is the national parks, and one is the kind of spring limited edition. And that's the one I'm kind of holding up now. And it comes with these really beautiful kind of springtime color foiled field notes titles. You can see that the design of different kinds of flowers are debossed on the cover. And so, I thought it would just be a fun way to try out, in this particular case, what would end up being a very more an informal version of note-taking, right? So just, and kind of in a commonplace way. So kind of indexing with colored dot stickers, and having a place though to quickly jot down some things. These here are the National Park series. This is Series A. I just wanted to start, from the beginning, and these covers are just so pretty. I just feel like they're even more beautiful in person than they even are in the pictures that kind of advertise them. And they've been such a delight to use. I already finished the first one, and this is the current one that I'm using right now. And this was kind of the most immediate evolution from the dot grid bullet journal insert for the passport size. This has become kind of my new bullet journal, which now has become actually just a freeform journal. And I just kind of showed Series B, which I just got the other day, just to show you the variety of covers. I think what's really great about these as well is because the covers are so pretty and different, they help with my itch for novelty without breaking the bank. And here we've finally reached my One Book July setup. Just want to flag the new patch that I got for the cover, which was a cute addition. But I do have a One Book July setup video where I went into a little bit more detail. But overall, this is sort of what led to this particular moment, and I'm really sort of excited about how it's worked for me so far. So I want to end here with what happens after One Book July is over, kind of looking ahead based on how these techos and planners and journaling systems have worked for me up until this point. So this, as you can see, is the Hobonichi A6 cover and Techo plus field notes setup that I used for One Book July so far, and it's been such a great success. I have the patches here that really, I think, also helped make it so much more fun to reach for, and now I'm kind of brainstorming ways to kind of incorporate patches as a way to kind of personalize, since this was my first time doing that. But it worked so well for me. In fact, I already finished another field notes as of this particular filming. And so you can see, I'm just using this one to kind of store them for now. So, you know, here's one from the end of June. And then this is the one that I just finished. And I've marked off July, even though July's not over, and yet, you know, I used this for most of July, right? The one that I already finished in terms of the kind of work jotting down notes, and then the one that I'm still kind of using, but I'm not yet quite finished with this, but you know, it's filling up very quickly. So I'm keeping these all together just with the idea that I might, you know, at least archive these first ones here, just so I can kind of quickly flip back to them and kind of remind myself of how I use them and how I found using them to be useful. And then this over here actually is the Camel Traveler's Factory A6 book cover that I'm using as a book cover for the Hon. This was a pro tip that I learned from Himawari Stationery's channel as well, because I believe that she got a Hobonichi Hon and found that these Traveler's Factory A6 book covers actually work really well for it. And I have that here because I think I mentioned this earlier in an earlier segment, but because this has worked so well for me, I'm finding ways to kind of go back to some of these other techos and see if bit by bit I can bring them back in to address a need that I have, right? So now that I've kind of gone back to the basics and found some grounding in kind of my main system, you know, there are other little things here and there that I might need to use a notebook or a planner for. So doing more with kind of documenting and keeping track of health-related concerns, for example. So that's something that I started doing in here, again, just day by day, just to see how it feels, and just so I don't get too overwhelmed with things. I will say that because Hobonichi season is coming up, that I do want to, again, continue with the A6 avec, especially because it's July through December, but I'm thinking in August of changing up the cover, and possibly even doing that every month. I think it's just a fun way to sort of do things, depending on how I feel. And so what I'm actually thinking is moving back into, this was the beautiful Count the Lights cover from the 2022 lineup. And I believe that the artist name is Hiroko Kubota. I hope that I have that correct, but I absolutely love the sort of whimsical style. And this is such a beautiful cover that I didn't actually use enough the year that it was released, and I'm actually so glad that I still have it and that I held on to it, because now I can use it as, you know, a potential next cover. And so kind of moving things into this, I was also kind of reminded and inspired because I think for Job's journal, on his latest, I think Techo Kaigi, mid-year Techo Kaigi video, he showed that he was still using I think the Tokyo metronome cover from this past release, right? The 2023 release in the A6. And I thought, oh, that's right. You know, it was by the same artist, and I just thought, you know, what a great way to just kind of bring this cover back out, celebrate, you know, Hobonichi month in August, and I just felt like it matched, or you know, it matched really well with this beautiful field notes in the National Park series. I guess this is for Yosemite, and I just felt like that matched just so well. And you know, if I kind of tuck that in here, I just think that would be really, really nice. So because of that, it's getting me excited. You know, it always gets me excited to kind of make a little change or to kind of update something. And it also makes me happy to know that I can kind of continue with the system, right? So move the A6 Techo avec that's in here into the Counts the Lights cover. This is the next field notes I'll be using, so that will fit in seamlessly with this. And, you know, we'll see, you know, now that I'll be going beyond one book July, what might it mean to slowly bring in some of the other Techos, and see if I can, you know, create a system that works across different planners and different notebooks and different journals. Very exciting. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this was interesting or enjoyable for you to kind of see what this this whole process has been for me in terms of the mid-year Techo Kaigi. I hope that you're all enjoying and having fun with your planners as well, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.